Ladies and gentlemen, Kim here. Welcome to the daily update. Hope you guys had a good day trading today. Market is up about 0.2% there on the S&P. Nasdaq's a little bit more green today, 0.6%. Semiconductor, another strong day today, almost 2%. Dow's pretty much flat. Small caps up of 1%. Bank, half a percentage there. Energy is pretty much same. Transport's negative today a little bit, 0.3% there. Biotech did catch a bid there, about 2% positive. Emerging market is pretty much flat there. Grayscale Bitcoin did make a move today after being in a downturn for about a couple of weeks there. 8% on Grayscale Bitcoin. Gold, silver, miners, green, a little bit of green, a little bit of red. Mixed day today there. Oil's down a little bit. Dollar's flat. Treasury bond is pretty much slightly red there. And the VIX is down or positive a little bit there. So let's stick with the S&P Spider 65-minute chart here. So this is where we closed yesterday or Friday, right? Before market or when the market was closed. It closed the day right on this level right here, 416.67 or so. Talked about that on the weekend analysis. So we initially gapped up here, right? So you can see that this is where it closed. We gapped up and we are hanging around on this pivot, the previous all-time high level all day long, right? So first hour, second hour, third hour, fourth hour, fifth hour, we made some move here. And on the sixth hour, the last hour, we did see some fluctuations. Came back down here. So if I zoom in, actually, you'll notice that, you see, this is the reason why gap is important. Gap is going to provide that cushion should there be any kind of shenanigan, right? So, you know, we saw gap hang around here all day long, a little bit of volatility on the last hour. Price came all the way down, filling the, not all the way though. You can see that this is where the gap opened this morning, about 65% or 60%, 65% of it filled right here. But there's some remaining there. My short-term moving average residing in that vicinity. So bears pushed it down, however, not able to fill the entirety of that gap. When that happens, it favors the buyers, as you guys know. And you can see the market closed back above 417.45 vicinity, which has been acting as prior resistance and new support entire day today. When the bears attempt to fill that gap, was not fill entirety of it. It is no mistake or coincidence or random occurrence that bulls came back up and brought the price closed above that important pivot at 417.45. Obviously, that's the important level, right? Again, prior resistance. If I go to line chart, you can see a definitive level of why that 417.45 is important level. You can see that right here. That's a definitive prior resistance, the all-time high level. We made new all-time highs today. Closing basis, right? We did print and stayed above here and here. So we did technically made new all-time highs on Spider in closing basis, and also bulls were able to keep that little bit of gap open. That's going to favor the buyers going into tomorrow. And my short-term moving average also is residing, trying to guard that level. So in the short term of things, price staying above the short term, did cultivate that higher high there. We did print new all-time highs on a closing basis. So we did have an all-time high on an intraday basis on Friday, but it actually closed below it. But today we actually closed above it. So we did establish that new all-time high, and that's always a good thing. Market is in this environment making all-time highs in a bull market. You want this market to continually cultivate and establish and print new all-time highs as much as it can, and to keep that momentum get going. So short-term, mid-term. So we actually, we categorize this moving average as actually micro-term. I actually tightened it last week. And this moving average is short-term because if I zoom out here and you see it, so the market has been kind of a prolonged uptrend here ever since back in late March. So you can see that this is, I'm going to look at this, this is obviously midterm. So short term, micro term, midterm, long term, right? So we're still bullish in the micro term, staying above that, right? Definitely is a micro term there. As you zoom out, you can see that that's a micro term. We're short term bullish as long as the price stays above my short term moving average, which is that pink dotted moving average. And so with that, benefit of the dot goes to buyers, micro term, short term, mid-term, and long term. So I think I've covered the longer term, mid-term implication of this market, analyzed it, forecast in the weekend analysis. You can reference that, looking at things a long term perspective. But let's stick with the short term here. So I think if we can hold this level 417, there's a chance we can continue higher. Should the price make a move to the downside, they're gonna maybe come down and trying to fill that gap again. A lot of times when the gap remains open like this, you can see that there's a temp and that gap wasn't totally filled, there's about 60-65% chance that bears are not gonna come back down as far as the statistic is concerned. Obviously, I've seen it happen before. But when let's say if this gap was totally filled, right? Let's say totally filled, there's higher chance that bears are going to try to come back down and get below it. When the gap isn't fully filled, however, you have a higher chance that bears not going to come back down and the price is going to go back up. A little bit higher chance. This favors a buyers there. And knowing that we've also stayed above this prior resistance and this resistance here, my micro term moving average. Let's check out that oscillator and see if we can extract any more information. So that oscillator, I'm going to zoom into that oscillator here. So oscillator did actually see a cross down here, right? We saw that cross. I think because of that last hour of fluctuation, the last hour, a little bit of selling that occurred on the last hour, and with that, the oscillator actually did see a cross down. Keep in mind, when you see there's a bullish momentum, that momentum still suggests that it's gonna favor the buyers. When you see something like that, what happens is you may see these crosses, something like this, and you'll be surprised how quickly it'll gap back up. So if I actually do something like this here, so you can see, and especially you have to understand when the oscillator is doing this, what is the overall sentiment of this market, right? First of all, we have to understand that the price is staying above the short-term moving average. We talked about that gap still a little bit open there, and we talked about printing new all-time highs, higher lows, higher highs, right? And similar here, you can see if you look at this move right there, on this day, back in April 12th, you can see there was cross 2 also, right? So if I move that you can see that there was that cross. You see that cross right there on that oscillator. But you keep in mind at the time when we saw the cross, price was staying above what? My micro term, I keep changing it. Micro term moving average, right? So it is staying above my moving average and my micro term moving average. And when we see that while the oscillators cross, we still have to give, and it is not a full-on cross. Like if we see something, I think, we see a cross like somewhere right here, and this thing gaps down and breaks below micro term moving average. At that time, we'll say, okay, there might be some sort of more selling potentially coming, because again, price lost that micro term moving average, the rising micro term moving average, and then the oscillator curled back down, right? But here is a little bit different. We're actually staying above, right? Staying above the micro term moving average, and then we see that oscillator crossing. So that means the momentum is still there unless we see some sort of shenanigan and price gap back below the short micro term moving average and fill this gap, and then this thing continues lower. So I'll come back and we'll re-examine the situation. You guys enjoy your evening and good luck trading tomorrow.